Chapter 14. Bravely defeating the foe!
No spoilers there. Author's note. Hello, friends. I have some news. And I know that it might be disappointing to the mommies out there. My husband and I had a very long talk last night. And he doesn't think that posting my writing online and going to classes is a good idea for our family. Maybe it has something to do with my subdued romance with a certain Greg fella. It was a hard decision for me to accept, but he does know best. I want to thank all of the many righteous believers who have supported me in this little mission of mine. And I hope that this last chapter ties up the loose ends as best as one chapter can.
Well, one good thing that came out of this author's extremely outdated beliefs, it put an end to this story sooner.
Mind if I voice Voldemort?
I suppose. Not Harry gasped, and not Dean Thomas gasped too, and not Hermione burst into tears as Voldemort ambled through the parking lot. The enormous crowd of righteous students were nervous, but they still stood boldly in the face of such horrifying evil. Dumbledore stood in front of them protectively and manfully. Harry looked at the depraved man walking towards them, and he thought of all the lies that he must have been told by evolutionists and feminists all of his life. And he thought of the empty, meaningless depravedness that he would have to distract him from that missing love in his life. And he thought of how one day he would die, and that there would be no happy heaven for him, only the flames of hell. Harry wondered how anyone could be so stupid. Who would want hell more than heaven? It made Harry so angry. And of course, obvious comment as an atheist here, I do not believe that hell exists. I also do not believe that heaven exists. So I don't believe that I'm going to get punished or rewarded for my deeds in this life, because I'm pretty sure this is the only life I have.
And I would quote the Pope on something, but once again, this author thinks that the Pope's a horrible liar and a socialist and doesn't believe in the Constitution, so...
Quote it anyway.
Well, I'm just going to mention how the Pope, our current Pope, stated how he believes that atheists can go to heaven, seeing as, we believe in heaven. So if there is a heaven, he believes that atheists can go to it. It's just a matter of being a good person. Because if you have love for your fellow man, and we're supposed to find God in everyone, then it's just like the passage, as you have done for the least of these, so you have done for me. So if we're kind to our fellow man, we're expressing love for God in that way.
What a kind and tolerant statement. Thumbs up, Pope.
Pope Francis is awesome.
Voldemort stopped walking when he was in front of the Reverend Dumbledore. He arrogantly nodded and said,
Hey, my name's Tom Riddle, and I'm here to visit my cousin. Which way is the guy's dorm?
Enough of your lies! Dumbledore exclaimed bravely. We know who you are. Voldemort blinked stupidly, and then he uttered childishly,
I'm sorry, what?
Dumbledore smiled smartly. You're pretending to be dumb, I see. Well, I'm not stupid. We know all about how much you hate Christians.
What? I don't hate Christians.
Voldemort lied dishonestly.
What are you even talking about?
You're still pretending to be dumb, the Reverend pointed out truthfully. We know all about your plot. We know all about your plot to illegalize Christianity, Voldemort. Voldemort blinked stupidly again and questioned evilly.
Wait, is this about my Reddit account?
Is that what you call your godless coven? Dumbledore queried knowingly. Well, yes, I have indeed seen your so-called Reddit account. Just try to deny your hatred of Christianity when you post things like this. Christians all sucks. Their religion is stupid and should be illegal. I will write to the Congress and tell them to make law. Harry laughed intelligently, because Voldemort did not even understand proper spelling and grammar.
That was a joke.
Voldemort retorted unintelligently, and that retort actually made sense.
That whole account is a joke. I mean, Voldemort the righteous skeptic.
He laughed with the nervousness of one who knows he is damned.
Of course you're not supposed to take it seriously.
Do you think religion is a laughing matter, young man? Dumbledore demanded righteously. Well, it is not. What sort of a joke is trying to outlaw religion?
Of course I don't actually want to outlaw religion.
Voldemort uttered deceptively.
That would be ridiculous. I just got annoyed by the ridiculous straw man some Christians have made out of atheism. So, whenever I see someone ranting about how depraved and evil we non-believers are, I reply with something like that. You know, taking that stereotype to an extreme to point out how ridiculous it is. Also, a small but vocal minority of atheists exists that stereotypes and mocks anyone who disagrees with them. They can be just as hateful as people think we all are. And that does real damage. They bug me as much as the straw man arguments do. And they give those arguments credibility. So I do the same thing to them, replying with an extreme version of what they said to highlight the absurdity of it.
So you're making fun of atheism? Dumbledore interrogated shrewdly.
No. I am an atheist.
Voldemort explained sinfully.
I'm just
as I thought! Dumbledore surmised wisely, and he smiled holily in satisfaction that the Lord had worked through him. We have been preparing for this day, and we have been preparing for it for a long time. Students! The holy little ones stood at attention. Convert him! Dumbledore commanded bravely. And all at once the students began to shout. You have been tricked by the lies of society! Harry shrieked knowingly. You deserve to burn in hell! Come over here! Not Dean Thomas screeched articulately. Debate me on religion!
I'm just so upset that you don't accept the Bible.
Not Hermione sobbed femininely.
The Bible is the best book ever. Why can't you just respect that?
I'm a Gryffindor hat now! Draco yelled boldly with the inspiring zeal that so many newcomers to the faith have. Do you hate me now? I bet you do! Voldemort covered his ears with the discomfort that the heathens so often find themselves with when they are confronted with the truth. And he shouted loudly to drown out the word of the Lord.
You've been preparing to do this? To scream at me?
It is the work of the Lord, Dumbledore explained accurately.
Aren't there better ways to spend your time than preaching to a bored idiot who makes fun of people on the internet?
Voldemort questioned hedonistically.
Your lord seemed to be pretty concerned about helping the people around him. Is that not his work anymore?
How could we focus on helping people when there are people like you trying to destroy us? Dumbledore countered astutely.
I told you before, that Reddit account is a joke.
Voldemort whined pathetically, but the Reverend shook his head. I thought that might be so at first, the Reverend commented fairly, but it was just too realistic.
How was it realistic?
Voldemort inquired uninformedly.
It wasn't even subtle. I waxed poetic about the sexiness of neckbeards and said that Christopher Hitchens has superpowers. It was supposed to be funny. How could you take it seriously?
Guys, I think Grace Ann might be subtly taking a jab at the people who took her story seriously.
Well, I mean, it was kind of believable in some parts. I mean, it was extreme, but I've met people that are that bad. So, it was kind of I mean, I
No,
have
I
suspected
agree,
it was
but
I have suspected it was a troll, but at the same time, it made me uncomfortable. You know, just the thought that this might be real. But apparently it's not, and that makes me really happy.
yay! Dumbledore scoffed, and he replied faithfully, "Like it or not, your little joke is what most atheists today are like."
So my Reddit account solidified your conception of atheists as a bunch of anti-Christian bigots who are just angry at God?
Voldemort solicited stupidly, and then he sighed.
Okay, you know what? This has gone too far. I'm sure that most people can tell that I'm not being serious, but if I'm contributing to misinformation and stereotypes, I don't feel comfortable continuing this. I think that's why this author ended this story, because people started posting a lot of hate messages about Christians.
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure that we can safely assume that Voldemort is Grey's Anne, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Voldemort pulled an iPhone out of his pocket, and he began to type on it. After a few minutes, he showed the screen to Dumbledore.
See this? I just made a post. I am a troll. It is the last post I will make on that account. Are you happy?
Dumbledore virtuously ignored the heretic, and he turned to the little one standing behind his protection. "Students of Hogwarts, this fool will not listen to reason. Let us save this heathen soul." All the little ones got down on their knees, and they raised their hands to the sky, and they screamed to the heavens, in the voices of those who knew they were doing great work. "Lord, please make Voldemort a Gryffindor hat!" Voldemort sighed wickedly, and he shook his head godlessly. Then he walked away depravedly. But even as the fornicating, drug-addicted evolutionist disappeared into the distance, the righteous little ones continued to pray. They knew that, if they screamed loud enough, they could change the world.
And impressively, people still think that this fanfiction is genuine because they don't actually take the time to read what this author is saying.
Yes, there are still reviews talking as though this is actually meant to be entirely serious. I mean, this final chapter made it very, very obvious that it's a joke.
Without an actual outright admission. I mean, there is an outright admission, I am a troll, in Voldemort's dialogue. But there wasn't an outright author's note admission. And I think that this is actually a really great way to finish off a controversial story like this.
This is like one of the greatest twist endings since Flowers in a Box.
Yeah, in the end, when you find out that this author didn't mean any of it, and it was all meant to make fun of a straw man argument, I mean, again, there is a small minority out there, hence why this was believable. But to know that all of this was poking fun at a very small minority, and then to have the ending be both continually written in the author's viewpoint, and yet to make it very clear that this is a troll fic, this ended up being one of my most hated fanfictions ever, and worse than Ross Fabio, to being a really good piece of work.
Yes.
And a really good social commentary. Especially if you look at all the comments.
Yes. Fic redeemed.
And that was Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles.
Close parentheses. I mean, that is actually part of the title.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you, proud housewife, who I'm not honestly sure what you're really like, aside from the fact that you have an excellent sense of humor. Painful at times, but excellent, because you know when to stop.
Well, with that out of the way, I had been wanting to move on to something good afterwards, and as it just happens, something really awesome just showed up very recently. So, dear viewers, join us next time when we will be reading